On today's show, we highlight trucks, what makes them stop, what makes them go. First up, we replace a parking brake system, followed by an intake swap. And clutch options for a diesel. Kathy's all set to go next on Performance TV.
Welcome to another edition of Performance TV. Whether you call them parking brakes, emergency brakes, like I still refer to them as, you don't want to have something in your vehicle that is going to be subpar, made with plastic and subpar parts. Bruin brake cables, Rick Galshite, you can take care of that for us, and something that is made here in the USA. Tell us about some of these brake cables that we find in our production vehicles.
Well, if you go to your local auto parts store, you don't know what you're going to be getting. A lot of auto part retailers are bringing parts from overseas and sticking them in their boxes. All those accepted brands that we were used to, well, it's hard to know what you're getting. Bruin brake cables makes parts the old-fashioned way. We use quality components in all our brake cables. They're pressure tested to over 1,000 pounds. We use steel where you might find pot metal and zinc and other types of combinations and
plastic and things like that, which might not rust, but it's not something that we want to be, you know, holding our truck, our trailer with our boat or whatever else, our race car behind it. You're going to do something there to show us just how well this is not made? Well,
let's put it this way.
All right, I'll get my glasses on here.
Good pressure test is always the best way to kind of illustrate our point. That's not what I want behind my race car or behind my boat.
Absolutely not. All right, Rick, now let's see the Bruin brake cable.
Well, we'll check that out.
Ain't going nowhere. We've got a nice looking Dodge truck here. I say we get a good Bruin brake cable on and see how easy it is to install. All right, well, we're going to get right to taking the old brake cable out of this Dodge and get the Bruin brake cable installed. So we're going to go to the man in charge here, Director of Operations at Bruin Brake Cables, Bryan Brum. Bryan, this one's already looking pretty icky under here, and this truck's not even really that old.
When they're made out of steel, they don't protect them. They try to paint it, but it looks like it rusts anyway.
Yeah, we've already got some stuff sprayed on here, so this is exactly where we want to get started to take the old one out.
Yeah, this is where you release all the tension from the brake system. You just start with the equalizer here, you loosen this nut, and then that releases the tension, and then you can take all the cables off after that.
Let's get started.
All right. First we got 13 millimeter. We're going to go over this threaded end fitting here and just loosen it, holding it with a pair of channel locks on the other side. As you can see, it's starting to loosen now.
I bet you didn't have a buzz gun or something like that.
Yeah, it'd be nice to just cut it off. You could also do that. So after we loosen the tension, we take this fitting out, and then we can start working on the wire connector to take that out. Just push this.
Push that on through? Yeah, because we're actually going to save this part through here. We will reuse all
Yeah, we have to reuse this, we have to reuse this, but we just have to take it all apart.
So, because these things really don't go bad. Themselves.
Right.
Because we're going to replace the cable to this point, and then the two cables going out to the back.
Yep, and then we can reuse this because even though it's a little rusty, it'll still work.
Actually, a little trick that Bryan's going to show us here is going to save you guys a lot of time and headache on taking out the housing fittings. Has a lot to do with this little hose clamp.
With this hose clamp, what we do is we put it over the housing fitting. A lot of them have a prong on either side that we need to compress. After we got the hose clamp on, compressing both prongs, what we're going to do is we're going to push it out to get the prongs started into the hole, so that way we can actually release the cable from its mounting hole.
So now that we have the cable off from back there, wow, look here, Bryan, we have plastic, right, to start with. Maybe I should use the hammer on this one this time. Little easy trick to help release this from the back. You can just take the cable and push on it, and it's going to pop right out. We can come over here and take this part off. And hey, another place that you get to use your trusty little hose clamp trick too.
Yep.
Now you want to make sure that you have that just in the hose clamp at a certain spot, don't you?
Right, otherwise putting the clamp on it will just keep it in place more. You got to make sure you have it back far enough so you can actually slide it out. And then once you release the clamp,
then out
we can just slide it right out.
Awesome. We go ahead and pop that out of there. While Bryan gets the other brake cable off this side over here, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to show you how to install the new Bruin brake cable.
This edition of Performance TV, presented by Low Carb Performance Products, is being brought to you by Titan Fuel Tanks. Bigger, better, faster. And by Bruin Brake Cables. Made in the USA, certified. And by ARP, the world leader in fastener technology.
Welcome back to Performance TV. While we were at break, we had a chance to, Bryan, to get up our other Bruin brake cable. Now we're going to install this side. And actually, Bryan, we can use a little bit of the trick that we used to take the old one off when we install a new one. First, we're going to stick this up here. Got it into place. And slide the spring back. Now, you want to go ahead and hold on to that for me? And I'll take this side over here. See if I can pull this out.
I'll give you a push.
All right. You get it? Ta-da. So we're going to go ahead and run this through up here, right, Bryan?
Yep. You just got to feed it around, make sure you're clearing any suspension parts, and making sure you just go back to the same place where the original cable was.
And we're through. Now, it looks like we might have a little bit of slack or something back here.
Yeah, that's why we have zip ties.
I was going to say, couldn't build anything without him, you know what I mean?
Yep.
There you
And
go.
that gets it right out of the way. And then we cut off the excess.
Oh, yeah, I got to keep it cleaned up back there. Okay, so now we can hook them back up here.
You just got to run this housing fitting back through its mounting hole again. Give it a good pull, and then it's ready to go.
Now that we have the back two brake cables taken care of, what we need to do is take care of the one that goes up in the cab that we actuate as the driver, and we're going to use our trusty hose clamp again. Just take this one off. Now we'll need to get up into the cab.
Yeah, we'll have to take off the door sill to get up underneath where the brake pedal is.
And every application is going to be a little bit different.
Yeah. Sometimes you don't even have to go into the cab. So then after we have the housing fitting released, we take this rubber grommet and we push it up into the cab so then we can pull the cable out.
Okay, we've dropped the truck down on the ground so we can get the door open here. So all we need to do is we need to pop off this sill plate here, pull this panel off. So we've got our grommet here, and now we'll need to release this one up here on the inside where we actually have the brake pedal.
So we can take the hose clamp again and take the pressure off the housing fitting and pull on out of the way. And then we just have to release the wire fitting from the brake cable mechanism.
All right, Bryan has got the cable out of the truck. A couple of different things that we need to do here between the old cable and the new cable. First, Bryan, I know you need to go ahead and put the intermediate cable back on, which is actually part that is underneath the truck. What I need to do is get the grommet off, and we went ahead and cut the end of this off to make it a lot easier to slide off of here. So now that we have that, we don't need this old plastic thing anymore. So you want to do with this? Get that out of here. Okay, Bryan, got the grommet back on. Just had to use a little stuff to squeeze that on there with. That was about where we had it. All we need to do is lift that carpet back up, run it down through. I'll get it ready for you. We'll put this thing back up in the lift, hook her back up. We've fed that through from the top. So now, Bryan, we feed this through here. Get your long arms up there. All right, got that snapped into place. Now what do we want to do over here? Well, I'll get these zip ties.
Well, we're going to put the housing fitting back into our equalizer here. And then we're going to hook up the rear cable to the turnbuckle. And then we're going to hook the front cable to the rear to get it all synchronized together.
All right, Bryan, you did a good job there. You know, if you ever have any questions about how much to tighten that, just check out your owner's manual. Rick, what happens if you got a four-wheel drive? Would we use the same cables?
Well, a lot of people are doing that, even with the lift kits. The problem with that is, now if you're going to take a stock original cable and string it along a longer length, that means you're going to have gaps underneath the wheel well, around the frame. Now, if you're running over a log or a stick or whatever it might be, it's a good chance that can go in there, jam up everything, and kind of tear your whole system down.
And you guys have how many different part numbers?
We have about 3,000 different brake cables that we offer. We cover all the vehicles, antique cruisers, muscle cars, and late model. But for your 4x4s, we'll do a custom cable. All we need to know is what the kind of lift it is, the type of fittings there are, and we'll put together a custom cable for you so you can tie it up along the frame and along the area so it'll keep it safe.
And if you want to find out more about any of their products, you can hop on BruinBrakeCables.com or AutoPartsNetwork.com.